A Manhattan area technical college student who was arrested in Hayes on August 25th was recently released in a bond with an ankle monitor. According to court records, 20-year-old Tucker Eisenhower was arrested and booked into the Ellis County Jail on charges of alleged rape, kidnapping, aggravated burglary, and criminal deprivation of property. The incident on August 25th allegedly involved Eisenhower forcing the victim into his truck, locking the doors, and then driving away to prevent escape, according to the court record. The victim has since obtained a restraining order against him. He was released in a bond by the Ellis County District Court and placed under house arrest in Pratt County after the bond was reduced from $250,000 to $25,000. According to the court record, he is being supervised by his parents and the Pratt County Court Services offices through electronic monitoring. His next court appearance is scheduled for October 8th in Ellis County. Tuttle Creek Lake is currently below conservation pool levels, according to Lake and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers officials. Park manager for the Corps of Engineers, Caleb Snyder, says that the lake is currently at around 1,075 feet and spoke more on the strategy for officials at this time of year as they enter the month of October.
Typically this time of year we like to, try to increase the pool elevation a little bit, do a slow rise kind of up through October. I guess if things worked out perfectly for us, we'd have a nice consistent pool all summer, kind of allow that vegetation on the shoreline and stuff to get established. And then this time of year, when duck season's getting ready to start up and those kinds of things, we'd kind of do that slow rise and start to flood some of that.
Snyder reported that the lake's elevation only increased by a foot over the summer while contract work was going on. He said current downstream targets are set by the state of Kansas and not the Corps. Operations manager Brian McNulty said that the current inflow is moving in a different direction in comparison to this summer.
The flows were actually the other direction. That was the storm event. Caleb mentioned the lake only came up a foot to a foot and a half during that shutdown period. That was higher flows we were letting pass on through before we started the dewatering. So
current inflow is going much slower than it was at the time Little Apple Paddle was set to be held due to storm conditions. Law enforcement are investigating a Kansas felon on new allegations. Just before 2:30 p.m. Tuesday, police arrested 34-year-old Destiny Millam of Manhattan on a Riley County District Court warrant for probation violation, according to the RCPD activity report. The original charge in the matter was interference with a law enforcement officer. Millam has previous convictions for interference with law enforcement, falsely accusing law enforcement of a crime in felony cases. And this is according to the Kansas Department of Corrections. Currently, Millam is being held on a bond of $20,000. More on the day's headlines can be found at our website, newsradiokman.com and themercury.com.
Good morning, I'm Troy Coverdale with your sports headlines. Week 3 of the college football season means K-State will get things going tomorrow night against Arizona. Coach Chris Kleiman blunt earlier this week in noting where he wanted to see improvement after a win over Tulane last Saturday.
The obvious thing is we need to be better in all three phases. We know that. There's some things that we've got to shore up in specific areas on both sides and on teams. In the same respect, I don't want to disrespect what I believe and know that Tulane is a really good football team when you watch them on tape. Quarterback, wide receivers, offensive line were really talented, and they tackled really well.
Kickoff tomorrow night after 7. Power Cat Game Day starts our coverage on News Radio KMAN and 101.5 K-Rock at 3. Because of the Friday night contest, Manhattan High moved its game against Lawrence Free State to tonight. The two teams to kick off at 7 at Seco Park. Coverage on News Radio KMAN gets underway at 6:30. K-State sophomore forward McCaleb Rich was cited for possession of marijuana on Tuesday by RCPD. Police pulled Rich over at the intersection of Claflin and Sunset just ahead of noon. He was also cited for not having proof of insurance. Rich is just one of 3 returning scholarship players from last year's basketball team. Jazz Chisholm Jr. hit a game-ending infield single with 1 out in the 11th. The Yankees outlasted the Royals 4-3 last night. Kansas City now 4.5 back of Cleveland in the AL Central, but maintaining a game-and-a-half edge over Minnesota for what is the 5th playoff spot, that second wild card spot in the American League. Have a great day. I'm Troy Coverdale.